Satellite online.
Transmitting from the third mole from the sun. You have tuned into Radio Cosmos.
Welcome back to Radio Cosmos Live, and I am here with the wonderfully talented Miss Sandi MarLisa.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today. Sandi, wonderful to have you in.
Thank you.
Sandi came out, my little band, Sons of the Saints.
Little band.
My little band.
Little band.
And I have to tell a little story. The guy, and I had seen her perform before with a duo and things like that, and Drew, our guitar player, was like, well, they asked her to come up and sing. He goes, yeah, you don't have to worry about it, though. She's really shy. You know, she won't come up. And the next thing I know, she's hopping up and we're doing The Killers, and she's just, ma! So, yeah. Well, let's talk about your music.
Okay.
Now, my understanding is you played a lot of music, and then you took a big break.
Yes.
And then you're just getting back into it in the last year or 2 years, which amazes me as really good as your music is. Can we talk about a little bit, kind of your background, what how you
absolutely
kind of grew up and what you were listening to, and that kind of thing.
Well, I grew up in a very strict household. I wasn't allowed to listen to what most kids my age were listening to, like the Spice Girls and Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. Or I guess he was part of NSYNC back then. Or the Backstreet Boys. I don't know. Like, this is where I'm at. I believe it was NSYNC. But so it was really just gospel and country music that I was allowed to listen to, which I performed. I started performing at 4 years old. I started doing jingles for businesses, and I was always like this little girl with a really, really big voice.
Gotta stop you there. Any jingles we would know?
My parents owned a baby store back in the day, so it was called ABC for Baby, and it was like, there's a store in our neighborhood called ABC for Kids, where you can shop for baby and even older kids. So I did that jingle. If you ever saw that commercial.
A bunch of people just set up and went,
remember
that?
That's it.
Excellent. So, okay, sorry.
No, you're totally
but we digress. Go ahead.
So yeah, but it just kind of got to the point where I didn't really enjoy country very much, and I didn't really enjoy gospel music very much. Like, it was old school gospel. And so I just stopped listening to music altogether, and I created my own. So I feel like my style has like kind of a weird feel sometimes, because it really doesn't have a ton of influences from modern music, because I didn't listen to it. So that I kind of think is really interesting. But I still continued on in the church. I was very passionate in the church. I thought I'd be a minister one day. But there were just some things that I had questions about, and I ended up getting kicked out, and that's a whole big story. But music was so spiritual to me, and I worked as a worship leader for years, that I just couldn't do music anymore. It caused me physical pain to sit down at my piano or sing. And so I took a big break, like 6-year break.
Wow.
And I think the moment that really got me back on track, or slowly getting there, was when my son heard me singing in the kitchen, and he said, "Mommy, your voice is so beautiful. I didn't know you could sing." And that just broke me. Like, my 3-year-old didn't know that I could sing, when that was my entire existence. Like, I had been singing since I was 4 years old, and I was known as a singer, and that was what I spent the majority of my time doing and enjoying. So I started slowly implementing music back into my life. I would just try to sit down at the piano every day and see what would happen. And it took a couple years for me to get to the point where I could really do it again. And I was approached by John Burgess. He saw a video of me putting a song that I had written when I was 14 on Facebook. And at this point, I was 28.
So very
And
much a direct reflection of how you are today
Yeah.
and your emotional
yes,
development. when you were 14,
exactly.
yeah.
So I'll actually be performing that song today for you guys, but it was a song that like had almost gotten picked up by an indie label. I had performed with a band. So John messaged me and was like, hey, I have this project. You might be interested in it. Could you come over and try it out? I'm like, yes, strange man on the internet. I will come over and let's see if this works.
Well, I can see you're an English guy calling up.
Yeah. So I
He's
thoroughly,
English. How bad could he be, right?
I thoroughly researched him before
Yeah.
I went on
John's
his
John's a
Facebook,
great guy,
made
yeah,
sure
yeah,
I was like, okay, this guy's legit. So I go over there, and it's 80s synth pop, which was the furthest thing from Christian music that you could possibly imagine. So I was like, this is perfect to get me back into it. And I also have a very large vocal range, and synth pop really showcases that. And
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
was able to experiment and really show off my voice in a way I was not able to do in the church, because I was always told to tone it down. It's not about you.
Yeah, you're supposed to be
You know.
part of the, which is true. I mean, that's,
yeah,
you're not
and
supposed
that's-
to be drawing attention to yourself. You're supposed
Exactly.
to be sharing with everybody.
Exactly.
So,
So it was a different experience for me. I went from, playing in church to playing in bars, and being able to show off and, have wearing clothes that, were not appropriate for worship of any kind. So it was just a big transition, and it really helped me get back into that flow of things, and start writing my original music again.
Well, and
So-
I hate to sound cliche, but a lot of times you really have to lose something to appreciate it, and
I agree with that. I do.
and while you, for your own reasons, kind of said, okay, I need to put that aside for a while, emotionally, then, something comes along like your son bringing that up, and kind of, you remember the passion of it, not
Yeah.
not the application so much, and it really kind of starts
I think
the
so.
machine going again. So that's great.
And for myself, the way that I process things is often very slow, and the way that I feel things, I sort of have to look at them logically sometimes, because they're just so buried deep, and I'm very introverted, so I don't express outwardly. My outlet is the stage, so I come alive on the stage. But in one-on-one time, like, I'm very reserved for the most part. So when my son said that, I had to kind of look at my life logically and say, like, how do you go from, your entire life being consumed with performance and music to not doing it anymore? Like, that just doesn't make sense. There has to be something there that
There's
is
gotta
worth
be a middle ground
exploring.
somewhere that
Exactly. So I'm happy. I feel a lot better. There's a lot in my life that changed after I got back into music, because it really is such a big part of me that when I walked away from that, I walked away from a lot of aspects of my life.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to be back and working in Bay County. It's been really fun.
And you have a son.
Yes.
Who's
8.
5 or 8.
8.
Okay. And then you
Judah.
have another child too, correct?
My daughter Lorelai, yes, she's 6. She has birthday next Wednesday. She'll be 7.
I love
Yes,
Lorelai.
I
What a
got that
great
from the
name.
Gilmore Girls.
What a
So
great name.
thank you.
Well, excellent. Now, you went through a spiritual, emotional journey like the rest of us did, or a lot of us did on the spiritual side, with the hurricane.
Absolutely.
And I know the whole community was affected by it. No one was not affected in some way by that hurricane. I mean, everybody's house needed a new roof, and everybody knew somebody that lost everything they had. And, you
Yeah.
know, so if I'm correct, that kind of drove you into writing.
Yes, it was a
and
big
that was
catalyst.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and
I have a book.
she has a book, like a no full and real published book here. And I'm going to let you tell me all about that, because I want to know what this book is about.
So it's a series of stream of consciousness essays written over a period of 6 years. It's about raising my 2 children, caregiving for a mentally ill spouse, getting kicked out of church, coming home to music, and a big portion of it is about the hurricane and my journey with that. Actually, I was writing these essays beforehand, but what really kind of catapulted me into being more well-known, especially locally, were the essays that I wrote after the hurricane. A few of them ended up going viral, and being published in online publications and being shared. It got the attention of politicians. And it was kind of how I realized, like, wow, maybe there's something to this. Like, maybe I can actually do something that, affects people and causes them to want to create change. And I also just noticed the way that I write is the way that I think, that stream of consciousness. It's just, I don't sit down with an idea. I just kind of sit down and whatever comes out, comes out. But I do have one rule, and that's to end everything with hope. And so that is how I approach it. And when people read my stuff, that's hopefully exactly what they come away from as the feedback that I've gotten. That's what they come away from is, you can talk about any hard topic that you want, but it's the way you frame it.
Yeah.
It really is. Because if you're just talking about, depression or mental illness or, something as tragic as a hurricane or something as tragic as, getting kicked out of church or whatever it is, you can spin that in a way that makes people feel icky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and bitter. A lot of bitterness anger can go in there.
Yeah, and some of these tell-all things, they drag people's names through the mud, and that doesn't bode well with me. Like,
yeah.
Far be it from me to put reins on anybody's artistic expression, but that's what I think. And so what I choose to do is to make sure that I'm approaching the subject from a place where I feel equipped to talk about it, where I can end it with hope. Because otherwise, people are leaving my writing feeling hopeless, and that's not my goal.
Well, and I think a lot of it, too, is, when you start name-calling or pointing out specific things, specific people,
Mm-hmm.
It's not as powerful as when you just say, hey, I went through this issue, and here's how I felt, and this is the way I thought about more universal issues, trust and pain and happiness and pushing through these problems. Everybody can relate to that, and it really, I think so, because
even the subject matter of a hurricane, not everybody's been through a Category 5 hurricane that destroys everything, but everyone can relate to storms in their life that felt like it completely devastated them.
Whether it was a natural storm or an emotional one that happened. So
exactly. So that experience is universal, and that's hopefully what people get from my book.
And I know that's one thing one of the best compliments I ever had is I played a show right before my first album came out, so no one had heard any of the songs, and we played down at the old Martin Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy came up to me who was drunk as a skunk. So
as they are.
As they tend to do from time to time. He was a real nice guy though, but he had a few. And he said to me, he goes, man, we need more musicians like you. Your songs are so honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, at first I was like, okay, thanks buddy, I'm glad you had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about it, so that's like one of the nicest things you could say
mm-hmm.
to a songwriter that writes from the heart, you know. And my first album was very, the show's not about, yes, the show is about me, okay. But why, just to give me an excuse to talk about myself. But it was much more personal experiences and the stuff than my second album was, because I wrote for over 15 years probably.
Yeah. So
it was about having kids, and it's the big things in life, losing
mm-hmm.
my parents and my grandparents and stuff like that. Wow, that sounds depressing. It's happier than that.
It's
though.
just,
It really is.
It's life.
But all that stuff's in there. It's life, the ups and the downs. And so I think it's kind of the same thing with your writing there, that people can, because when you said a stream of consciousness essay, I was kind of like, what does that really mean? And when you
mm-hmm.
talk about, you just kind of sit down and let it flow, I think the same thing. People resonate with honesty.
I think
instead
exactly
of it being a calculated kind of self-help book,
mm-hmm.
it's more of a, hey, boo, here's what I feel.
I actually wrote a self-help book. That was the book I wrote before this one, and I thought it was awful. So, but that's the thing is, I remember I sent it to a friend who was actually an English teacher, and she said, Sandi, this just doesn't sound like you. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really know what that meant, because they always talk about finding your sound or finding your voice or whatever as an artist. And I was like, what are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. What do you mean it doesn't sound like me? I wrote it. But then I got to the point where I was like, I just don't care anymore. I'm just just going to go and see what happens. And that's when it really took off. I like the stream of consciousness style because I think it fits me as a person. I'd like to approach life with more of a broad idea rather than specifics. And I like, to let my day come to me instead of planning it out. Like, that's how I've always been. And that's sort of how you feel when you read my stuff. It goes in the past, and then it goes in the future, and then it's in the present. And I'm talking about emotion, and I'm going to logic. And for whatever reason, people really like it. So it's nice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about your music with the same idea. Is that the way you approach writing music?
I think so.
Or do you have a little more of a structured approach to that now? Or
I've written stuff that has more structured approach, and I do not like them as much as the things that I've done that are more poetic. And I think you'll see when you listen to the music that I share with you today. I'm going to start off with that song that I wrote when I was 14 because it was something that I had written that I was so proud of. And I'm still proud of it to this day. Like, it's really stood the test of time. And when you listen to the lyrics, it's very poetic. There's not a bridge and a chorus and a verse. It's more like a poem set to music. And a lot of my songs are like that. And I like them.
Yeah, I remember the first song I wrote too. I was probably about 8, and it was about saving whales. And
I love it.
Terrible.
Mine was about September 11th.
To this day, because I remember it that well. But it was really bad, and I won't sing it.
Mine was I was 10, and I wrote about September 11th. That was my first song.
That's good, because I was like 30. In September 11th. Anyway, moving right along. So. It was funny because I ran into John the other night. I finally got to go, had a weekend off, and I went and saw his band.
Sound Arcade.
Arcade Sounds.
Arcade Sound, sorry.
The new version.
The new.
Copyright.
2.0.
Yes. And I was talking to him, I said, holy cow, I'm having Sandi on the show. And I never, for some reason, I had seen you do your duo.
Yes.
And I always thought, I connected you to that. And I didn't connect you to the De Nouveau.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
You did, yes.
I've been practicing.
I get that all the time.
And I don't know why. I watched videos of you doing both, and it just never made that connection that was you.
Well, people think I'm really into 80s synth pop. I'm really not. Like, I had to learn over 40 songs from
you've never heard
scratch. And it's not that I don't enjoy singing it. I love it because it's challenging and it was something different. I get to get dressed up in my fancy clothes and get to own the stage and dance as I sing, and I love it. And people think I'm so into 80s. Like, I've had so many friends come up to me and say, oh, we just thought 80s was like your thing. Is it not your thing? I'm like, no, it's not my thing.
My paycheck.
It's fun. I really enjoy doing it, but that's not the music that I gravitate towards. So then my acoustic stuff is way different. It's like polar opposite.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why.
And I dress differently. Like, I dress like myself when I do that. I don't dress in my 80s alter ego. So I don't, and I present myself differently because I'm very much a theater kid. So I align myself with the 80s vibe when I do that stuff. And then when it's acoustic, I just kind of relax. So I love it because I get that all the time. And people are like, I didn't know that was you. So I made a post on Facebook and was like, this is me and this is me. If you see these girls around, they're the same person.
You ever see either one of these girls?
And if you look at it side by side, I can kind of see why. Like, so it's funny.
You do take a different persona on when you do the full 80s garb and everything.
I think so, yeah. It's fun.
But, I like both of them.
Thank you. I enjoy doing both. I get bored. So I love both of them, yeah.
Well, and I can see where the synth pop thing would be difficult because so much of that was like these German guys that are singing like this, da 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 da, you know. And,
very wordy.
And it's all kind of down and
they all had their own style.
And they all got an accent. And then the other crowd is the girly crowd, and they're all these weird, arrangements and parts that are high and low and all over the place. So.
I learned 40 songs in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That was incredibly difficult. We really worked hard on that. And then COVID hit.
And we all went home. and you had 6 months to work on them.
But it was really good. And I just love the range and how creative you can be with it. And also, like, most of the songs that I do are originally sung by men. So being able to put my own spin on that. And the way I approach cover music is I'm not very good with words. I have auditory processing issues. But when I hear a song, I can sing it back to you after maybe twice listening to it. So the way I like to do cover songs is listening to it twice and I never listen to it again, because then I put my own flavor on it. Yeah. And I have no choice, because if I don't remember a part, I kind of have to just make it up. And it always works. Yeah. Like, and people actually approach me and they're like, I really love your version of that song. I'm like, thank you. It's because I only listened to the original twice.
Well, there's kind of two ways to look at music, when you're doing a cover band. You either, one camp is it needs to be right. If it's on the record, you reproduce it.
We don't get along with those people.
And then the other camp is like if you wanted that, just put a quarter on a jukebox camp, and you do your take on it. And I think if you fall in the middle, you're just lazy.
Yeah, you have to make a choice.
Yeah, and so it's I'm going to make this. Well, when you go see a band and love live, they play a lot of times they'll play a version of the song that a cover band in a bar would be like, people would be looking at them like, what the heck is that? You didn't do that right at all. But when they do it, it's like, woo, because it's their song and they're making it cool and different and owning it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there's a lot to that and that performance, especially if you're singing a song that a guy does. You got to make it yours. I mean, or a different instrumentation or things like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I just think, like, a lot of musicians, especially if you're writing original stuff, obviously you want your original stuff to get out there. But when you're playing in a bar, it's really hard to do the original stuff when, they start looking at you really sad because all they want to hear is Tennessee whiskey. Like, the disappointment there. Like, you just want to make them happy, So if you're going to do...
All I want to hear is, you are playing Tennessee whiskey tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over and over again, right?
Over and over.
Yeah, so that'd be nice.
But, like,
looking forward to that.
If you make the covers your own, then I think it makes it a little bit more fun. For me, anyway.
It's more fun for you.
I think so.
The two bands I play in, one is very much it's kind of a show band. That's the Loud Planet.
Okay.
And you play it like it is on the record. You sing it like it is on the record. But we do that. That's on purpose.
Right.
And then Sons of Saints, obviously, it's not that way.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of songs we don't have like many bands do. You don't have the right instrumentation. You don't have a keyboard player. We got one guitar player.
Yeah.
So you got to pick what parts you play. But that's fine.
It still rocks. Yeah.
Yeah. You go out and have fun, and it's just a different approach. And they're both very satisfying in their own way.
I think it's why people go listen to live music, especially after COVID.
Oh, yeah.
I think people are really appreciating live music again because people were so holed up in their homes and, the age of social media, and which is fantastic and wonderful. But now we got a taste of like what it's like to really be at home. And people are like, no, like, what is there to do? Let's get out there and do something. Yes. And now we've really seen this eruption in Bay County of live music. When I walk into a bar, I expect live music now. Yeah. That's how much it's changed in 2 years. And when I was playing in my punk rock band, we were playing in a garage in abandoned buildings and in Florala, Alabama. Alabama, like that's where we were going.
Wait,
it was an underground punk band.
No one ever mentioned a Florala punk band.
Oh, well, we drove to Florala. There was, I think, 8 of us that went and 5 seats. So that was...
Well, your punk band.
It was the punk band.
And the name of this punk band was?
Elsa's at Well.
Elsa's at Well.
Elsa's at Well. Yes, I got kicked out of that as well.
This seems to be a
thing with me. Absolutely.
Are you difficult?
I know.
So
I wouldn't date one of the members of the band. Like,
it's a punk band. You don't date in a punk band.
That's how that went. So much drama.
Kids today. Well, he should have been, or her. I'm not going to judge. The punk band.
Yes.
Anyway, and where do you play in Florala?
It was like it was like an Italian place.
What?
We played to like 2 people. It was not. We drove very far. I did not get paid anything.
Did you at least get some breadsticks or something?
I think we ate, and we.
Well, for a punk band, that's
For
really more than you
fun,
can
they like
expect.
to kick or hit cans with golf clubs into buildings, and we bought some fireworks because they were legal, and shot them off in an abandoned parking lot.
Well,
And
there you go.
That was my
That's
experience
punk
in
band.
Florida. Very rock and
That's
roll.
also Florala.
Yes.
We're going to talk more about this punk
You
band
should.
thing.
It was a
All
good
right.
time.
Okay, before we go next door and hear
Mm-hmm.
some of your wonderful music and piano playing, you have another book on the way. Tell
Yes.
us a bit about that.
It's going to be, I won't say it's a continuation of this book, it's just a continuation of my life. So it's going to have different subject matter. It's going to go more into what it's like being a musician, a local musician, more about what it's like raising kids, but also like they're old now. Like I have a lot more independence now than I did when they were toddlers.
You're old now.
What
Yeah.
you know, what divorce is like, and you know, just it's going to be a new stage of life, and I'm really excited about it. One chapter is going to be Sandy Sanctuary for sad singles, because during COVID, what happened was my sister and her 2 kids moved in with me because my sister at the time was going through a divorce, and then my friend Tyler, who's in a band with me, moved in. Because he just broke up with his girlfriend, and then I ended up getting a divorce, and so that's the name we dubbed my home. 7 people, 4 children in a 3-bedroom home. And the stories are pretty great. So it's kind of wild, and also like dating in 2021 is a nightmare. So that's gonna make some great material. So it's just a different stage of life, and I'm excited to talk about it. It's gonna be called Fire Flurries. And that's the name I got when my daughter was sitting around the bonfire and she saw the ashes shoot out, and she called them fire flurries.
Aww.
And I thought that was a really cool name.
I think it's great.
And I think it's going to be great for a title for my book.
I can't wait to see it.
Thank
so
you.
I can learn all about you.
Yes.
Mm.
So obviously mysterious.
Where can people find this book right here?
Amazon. You
Amazon.
can get it on
How
Amazon.
easy is that? Next time you're
To all
shopping?
who wander.
To all who wonder, Sandi MarLisa, oh Lord.
It's fine, just Sandi
No,
MarLisa.
no, we're going to get this. Kluglard?
Kluglard.
Kluglard. Hyphenated.
My updated version will just be Sandi MarLisa. I'm starting to use that as my stage and pen
I
name.
can't understand why.
Yeah, the last name's a lot.
Although that's a killer punk band name. I'm just saying.
I love it.
And I want to sing it. Kluglard. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. And that's very impressive, though. And I'm going to steal that copy right there, or I'll buy one.
Okay.
And I'm going to read all about you.
Okay.
And you better come out and sing with us this weekend. It'd be nice.
Is it this weekend?
Yeah, if you're out.
Okay, I get off at 9. So do y'all play till? Yeah. All right, I'll be there.
You don't
Come out
start till
and
9. How about we go next door and play some songs?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. We're going to go next door. Boom.
Greetings, programs. You're watching Radio Cosmos Live. Don't forget to listen to your favorite deep cut every week on Radio Cosmos.
All right, hey, we're back right over here in the old tracking room with the wonderfully talented Miss Sandi MarLisa. And we talked about her books, we talked about her life, we talked about her kids, we talked about her housing situation. Now we're getting down to the show me what you got. Let's play some music.
All right.
What you got for us?
Okay, so this song is called Masquerade. I wrote it when I was 14.
Oh.
And I like to start off with this one because I just really love it. It was the first song that I wrote that I felt like it was actually good. So here we go. I was already broken. I just needed you to ease the pain.
of scene. I was hiding behind the scars, but the bandages were falling. I know I can be a condescending natural disaster, but I thought you would stick through the storm. When will the thrashing stop? When will the stars be stitched together again? Tell me, where is that island? I can't open up my wounds to you. They're hardly healing. I need a break from my heart's masquerade. These pieces were mending, but you tore at the stitches, and I couldn't find the needle. Before you stepped in, I just needed to be numb. But you broke through the ice and I could feel again. When will the thrashing stop? When will the stars be stitched together again? Tell me, where is that island? I can't open up my wounds to you. They're hardly healing. I need a break from my heart's masquerade. This is when the thrashing stops. This is where the stars will be stitched together again. I guess I finally found that island. I can open up my wounds to you. They're finally healing. Thanks for that break from this heart's masquerade.
That's wonderful. 14.
14.
That's some pretty heavy stuff for 14. I was expecting, like, you know.
Had a pretty heavy life.
That's good stuff. That's wonderful, actually.
Thank you. Yes, that one stood the test of time, so I'm really proud of that.
Very
one.
much so. Yeah, that's good.
All right, let's see.
Yeah, let's get some more of that.
This one is more recent.
You were 16.
Anything would be more recent than that, though, so not really saying much. This one's called Atlantis. And I can't remember when I wrote this, but it's about my divorce. You had me, and you didn't want me. So now you've lost me, and you will never find me, because you had me. And you didn't try to keep me, so
'cause you had me, but you didn't want me. So now you've lost me, and you will never find me. You had me, and you didn't try to keep me. So now you've lost me, and you will never find me. You're sailing away in this relationship we made. You will find Atlantis before you ever reach the shores of my forgiveness. So sad, so sad, so sad. So sad, so sad, so sad.
Thank you.
Terribly wonderful. Wonderfully terrible.
Wonderfully terrible.
Yeah.
That's what life's like, I think.
Yeah. Now, do you find that working on a song like that, was that therapeutic for you to work through that? And I don't mean to get into your
No, you're
super
totally-
personal business or
No.
anything, but just in general, you know, your books you were writing on, you know, you were expressing yourself that way, getting those emotions out and getting them on paper. Did you find that writing music like that and playing music kind of helps, kind of maybe put some shape, and I hate to say closure because everybody talks about closure, but you know, kind of give it a direction to go and kind of learn something about yourself while you're working through those things?
I think so. Working with my therapist, I've realized that we all cope.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody copes. And I always, especially growing up in the church, for some reason I associated coping with something negative.
Right.
Because you're
Yeah.
supposed to lean on God, right? Why do you need to cope? Like,
Or
he's
just
your
in
strength,
life, you know,
and,
yeah,
and so when I thought about that, you know, I thought of coping mechanisms being such as drugs and alcohol, you know, those sorts of things.
Right.
I never thought about coping mechanisms being something positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized when I was working with my therapist that my whole life, my way of coping is through, number one, high productivity, distracting myself through my work, and
Mm-hmm.
number two, when it comes to writing and in music and anything artistic, I cope by turning pain into beauty. That's what I do. And so, like I said when I was talking about my book, I try to approach my essays from a place where I know I'm going to be able to end it with hope. Mm-hmm. Not because I think life is always hopeful, but because it seems to be the best method of thought to get me through my day.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if I would say turning something, you know, again, what do I know, therapy or the brain, or certainly
Mm-hmm.
women. But you know, taking a negative like that and working it, and not glossing it over and sugarcoating it, but just taking it and making something
Setting it to
positive out of it.
music,
Yeah,
or
it's
giving it
gotta be
beautiful
great,
words.
yeah.
Like I remember when I wrote it. I don't sit at the piano, write the music, and then add the words. I always have the words first, and it comes to me. The lyrical line comes to me, and then I figure it out on the piano by ear. So I was sitting on my tree swing that I like to sit on, and I was just kind of looking at the sky, and it kind of came to me, and it was like, you know, you will find Atlantis before you ever reach the shores of my forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's good. Sandy, that's good. I just like followed that track.
A little harsh.
And I love it. No, I love it.
But the thing I love about it, and it touched me, was the next line. It might not have been the exact next line. Was so sad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was so sad that this happened, which I kind of brought it home as not being just a negative, spiteful kind of angry thing.
No.
It was like, a real loss. So
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean to drag you down.
No, I
that
love
road,
it. No,
but
you're not dragging me down.
But I mean, that's great because I think that's powerful stuff because it means something. It's not just, I hate men and I hate the world and I hate myself.
Oh, absolutely not. And I think I'm kind of sort of, especially now as a musician, kind of accepting the fact that I don't write stuff that's like typical bridge, chorus, verse, whatever. It's more poetic, which is how.
No, that's wonderful.
So I enjoy it.
Let's get some more.
Some more.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Okay, this one's a little peppy.
I don't know if I'm ready for that or not.
Down, bring it back up a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, this one's about your guinea pig being hit by a car. I'm sorry, I'm just playing.
It's so funny. All right. This one I wrote being a little frustrated with people, but it's still, that's why it's kind of peppy, I think.
I think we can all relate to that, though, yeah.
So we'll see.
Everybody wants to change the world, but nobody wants to change their town. Everybody wants world peace, but nobody wants to forgive their enemies. And maybe that's alright. I mean, really, who am I to say that the world should spin this way or that way? But I still hope someday we'll figure out this love thing we've been trying to live out. That the preacher's prayers become the legs we stand on in our house. Go home and love your family, that saintly mother says. Look up and love your neighbor, echoes the bleeding heart of man. Well, everybody's got a hand to hold, but nobody wants to stretch it out. Everybody just wants to love, but nobody wants to break down boundaries. And you know it's not okay. I may be just one voice to say that the world needs love more than ever before. And I still hope someday we'll figure out this love thing we've been trying to live out. That the preacher's prayers become the legs we stand on in our house. Go home and love your family, that saintly mother says. Look up and love your neighbor, echoes the bleeding heart of man. Everybody wants to change the world, but nobody wants to change their town. Everybody just wants love, and you know what? We all are the remedy. Never know how to end my songs, but it's a little peppier.
I love that thought. I mean, it's just, yeah. Well, I won't even get on my soapbox about that. You got to change your neighborhood before you can change your town, before you can change the world. So
people think way too big, and then they get stuck in their train of thought, when really just being kind to someone right next to you does a lot, and it adds up over time. Yeah. Like if you're kind to one person a week, that's 52 people in a year.
You've been awfully nice to me today.
Thank you. Imagine if you're kind to someone every day.
What an
impact. What an impact
How
people could
tiring
have.
that would be. What have you got for us over there?
All right. Okay, I'll try this one. I've never done this one live.
Oh, I love it when they do that.
And it's got a vibe. It's got a vibe. Let's see.
Hey, you know what? It'll be our little secret. Just me and you and
we'll see how it goes.
our friends.
We'll see how it goes. All right. Let's see if I can remember how it goes. He was raised in a valley where no one prayed for rain. He knew nothing of springtime with winter in his veins. So he sat down on the mountain and
waited for a sign. Time goes on, you see, and change always walks by. She was born in a river and could never seem to settle. She knew nothing of winter, the deepest frost couldn't keep her. So she crept on up a mountain, and a sight she did see. A man sat in her eye, asleep in a deep freeze. He was baptized in the river, the very mountain seemed to tremble. There was something in the water, as patient as a chisel. After all, a river cuts right through the mountains, just as diamonds cut on glass. Give her some time, she'll raise you to the ground, and spring will come at long last. Give it time, give it time, give it time, give it time. Give it time, give it time, give it time, give it time. Give it time, give it time, give it time, give it time. Give it time, give it time, give it time, give it time. Give it time, give it time, give it time, give it time. Give it time, give it time, give it time, give it time.
Yeah, that's kind of that Sash Jordan soul. I don't know. Yeah,
I brought some Pentecostal churchy influence into that one for sure.
That's good, yeah.
So I want a choir and drums, and I have this violin part mapped out, but so
Calvin, we got room in here.
You got
for
the
all
bones.
that?
You got the bones of it.
Okay. We can get the choir for you. No, that's cool. These are great songs.
You like it?
Yes.
I'm so glad.
I've heard, because I've heard you play, and I've heard some of them. But, obviously I hadn't heard that one, because you never did. Or was that?
No.
Yeah.
See, I like it with just the piano. I don't like it. Well, it doesn't sound the way that it does in my head on just the piano, so I've been kind of keeping it. But I thought I'd bring it out for y'all.
Nah, that's a good one. It's a great one.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right, cool.
We got time for a couple more. So.
Couple more. Let's see. What do we want to do?
Decisions.
Since I have time for two of them, we'll do this one. Let's
Yeah,
just
we
a little bit more happy.
we probably got time for two more. How many songs you got in there? Wow.
I have lots of songs.
I can see that. We're gonna.
I
have to
told
have
you,
back.
I don't like to play them when I do cover music because the disappointment on people's face is just.
It's hard.
It's
yeah,
too much.
And they just kind of, they kind of.
I don't know what's fun.
Or they just start chit chatting, and then you're like, "I'm pouring my soul out for you."
Ugh, they don't want your soul.
Yeah.
They want more whiskey.
You know that rockin' wheel barrel,
Yeah.
rock me like a.
Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. You and me, we're like planets revolving the sun, always spinning but never meeting in the middle to collide. But it's time that we had this talk. I'm so lonely for a gentle touch, a sweet caress in my soul. Won't you wake up and see me for what I am, and understand that I miss you like the sun misses the moon, like the snow, the clouds in June.
like rain in the winter or dew in the heat of the day. I miss you like a river runs to the ocean, like summer bleeds into autumn. I miss you like twin souls do. You and me, we're like kindling in a dry season. No water can contain the blaze, so we raise this world to the ground. Can they hear us now? Up from the ashes we rise, rulers of the darkness and the light. But that's the problem, isn't it? You wanna conquer the world, I wanna heal it. And I love you like alcohol in a wound, like religion loves its tunes, like two sides of a shilling or hope and its pretty lies. I love you like the waves answer a hurricane, like an east wind breaks open graves. I love you like twin souls do. This thing we have is mythic by nature. Gods or monsters strung us together. Oh, well, which came first, the darkness or the light? Yeah, we need each other, so let's get it right this time. 'Cause I need you like water carved the canyons, like earthquakes hewn the mountains, like faith needs a problem or stars need darkness to shine. I need you like the earth grows living things, like a bluebird needs its wings. I need you like twin souls, like twin souls, like twin souls do. Again, don't know how to end my songs. I hate ending songs. There you go.
Don't end, just keep playing.
It's
They're
even
wonderful.
playing. All right, last
We
one,
got time
huh?
for one more. I hate it that we got time for one more.
Never done this one
But
in
you're
public
gonna
either.
we're just going to have her back. These are all too good.
I would love to be back. I
Yes.
won't look at the camera next time for the.
Well, it gives you that I'm thinking deep thoughts.
No, that's literally how all my friends view me anyway. Is like this person that just like is off in another world. So it's probably
So it works
accurate
good. Everybody
anyway.
recognize you then. I'm looking at Tom.
It's
Tom's
perfect.
not looking at me.
All right, here we go.
Once upon a time there was a girl who loved a boy. Spring was green as ever, skies azure and full of joy. And flowers, flowers in lovely bloom. Beauty, beauty in woven loom. Once upon a time there was a boy who loved a girl. A curse he carried always, a broken shell without a pearl. And flowers, flowers wither into bloom. Beauty buried in a tomb. Gossamer memories spin their tales. Ghosts waltz to a melody Flowers changed from green to gold. Beauty crying a song of old. Gossamer memories spin their tales. Ghost waltz to a melody of reverie setting sail to the end of a story well told. 'Cause even the best fairy tales grow cold. Even the best fairy tales grow cold.
That's beautifully sad.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know how your, and I don't know, I don't want to know. Well, I probably want to know, but it's not my business how, your religion got turned around and your life got turned around, but you certainly have not lost your heart or your spirituality, I don't think. So that's a beautiful thing.
I don't think so.
And that's what's
just
important.
different, yeah.
Yeah, that's what's important. All right. She is Sandi Lamar. Sandi Lamar. I knew I was going to do that.
Just an entire blooper
Sandi
reel of getting my name incorrect would be fantastic.
Marlisa. Miss Sandi.
MarLisa.
Good thing I'm a professional at this.
I love it
She
so
is Sandi.
MarLisa.
MarLisa. Sandy, tell everyone your .coms and all those things where they can find you, follow you, hear your music.
Yeah. SandyMarLisa.com. That's Sandy with an I. You can follow me on Facebook.com/SandyMarLisa. That's when I do most of my stuff. And also Instagram.com/SandyMarLisa.
And those people that can't quite get it, it's MarLisa.
Yes.
I can spell it, I just can't say it.
It's my grandmother's name and my mother's name mixed together. So it's a,
very nice,
it's a whole
very
new
nice.
thing, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. Wonderfully talented. Check out her music.
Thank you, Michael. I had fun.
We're going to have you back for sure. And that's the end of Radio Cosmos Live this week. Bye-bye.